One of the more challenging things that we have to deal with in academia and research, in the research world, is that it often makes you feel not very good and pits people against each other. And a large part of that has to do with competitive structure that underlines academia, and that we always have to count everything, and that not only that we have to count everything, we are, our productivity is measured based on this counting. And so lots of people do not great things with academia or within academia in terms of, really pitting yourself against other people, because there's a limited amount of resources in the short term that people believe that they sort of have to gobble up these resources, or that they will be left behind. And it's very true that there is what's called the Matthew effect in academia, and this Matthew effect is well known, well studied. It's been around for, we know about it. It's very, in fact, it's probably one of the more, other than sort of building on top of previous work, it's probably one of the more well-known phenomenon within the sort of social science of science itself, right? Like the study of science. It is well known that there is a Matthew effect that happens, and it's been experimentally verified, quasi-experimentally verified. It's been shown in data, all that kind of stuff, and this sort of behavior, what is going on, it sort of erodes a lot of. It just doesn't make people feel good within the academic game, and there's a lack of community that often happens. And there are mechanisms that mitigate some of these challenges, and people can sort of try to mitigate some of these challenges by, belonging to different associations and volunteering and those kind of things. But here's the troubling part that makes it challenging, is that the sort of volunteer stuff, participating in associations and things like that often doesn't result in the short term in terms of productivity, right? Like, you do things because volunteering to become a reviewer at a conference, for example, or organizing a conference, or belonging to different administrative roles, or being an ambassador, I guess, for an association, doing those various kind of things in the short term, they're often considered like not good in terms of the greater productivity, the arena, and often, it seems crazy, but they're discouraged by most, particularly for junior scholars. They're often discouraged to pursue those particular things because they're time consuming. And yet those are the things that sort of build community, and those are the things that are helpful. So what I'm getting at here, in what I want to talk about, is the importance of community in your own area, and doing things for simply the fact that it's building your own community, whatever that looks like. So if you don't know me, I am Professor Dave Massack. I'm Associate Professor of Innovation, Strategy, and Entrepreneurship, and I create this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There's so many people that help me out that I want to pay the favor forward to help you out as much as I possibly can. So it is, academia is really tough in the sense that it makes you feel not good. It right from the get-go, you're competing against other people, you're competing to get in, and you're competing with fellow graduate students, you're competing with then when you get out, you're competing with other professors around the world, other researchers around the world to show how amazing you are. And it's really, crudely put, very crudely put, it's a pissing contest. I'm not sure if you've heard of that term before. It's very crude, but boys, when they're younger, they sort of pee as far as they can. Whoever pees the farthest is the winner. And this is like a colloquialism in North America, I guess, and sort of the guys sort of colloquialisms, very masculine sort of way to describe a competitive nature, just for the fact of competitive nature, and then you're gloating at the end of it. And it's very much built into academia, and it's not necessarily, I don't believe it's healthy. I know lots of people believe that it's healthy, and I'm probably an unusual person to speak out against this, but I don't believe it's a healthy culture, because it's so it works well in a winner-take-all environment, right? And that's basically what it creates. It's called a winner-take-all environment, where there is zero-sum resources, right? So this is from game theory, and what this is that there's a limited amount of resources that are available in the near term. And then if you do something, if you sort of do some behavior, it takes away from somebody, and you get rewards for that. Those rewards take away from somebody else. And that in the short term is very true. But that is true probably in many other areas, right? Like, this is not university like excluded to academia. This is true for many different business environments and that kind of stuff. However, there is a long run game. So there's two other points I want to point out. So there's a long run sort of challenge here, is that in the long run, that you have to build allies and groups of people, and all these other things in academia, that if you steal from other people, quote unquote steal from other people just get upset and they don't want to work with you, and that sort of takes away your potential opportunities. And that is very true. That there is actually, Adam Grant's book is describes this nicely. I forget what it's called, but very much describes this nature of in the long run, you just get a lack of opportunities because you get sort of a long run reputation. But the long run is really long in academia, right? Like, you can go and burn people for a very long time and not be a nice person for a very, very long time and still get resources, for decades, right? And you could still be, and as long as, and here's the sort of, here's the rub, is that you can be, if you're an ass, and you're still productive, a lot of places still are okay with that. And that's sort of part and parcel of the academic game. It's part and parcel of any of these environments that are winner take all. That this definitely does happen, and people sort of recognize this, right? You're going to see this behavior in law, different, partnerships and law partnerships. You're going to see it in, an engineering firm, for example, and you're going to see it in, marketing agencies and all these kind of things, where it's, you in the short term there is a winner take all sort of dynamic. However, in the long term, you have to realize that, and I totally blank with that second point. I'll probably remember it after. But you have to remember that in the long run, helping other people out can be beneficial, because you do get opportunities. Now, it's challenging, because you could sort of result in being just a helpful person, and nobody really looks at you and takes you seriously. And so there is sort of nuance with all of this in terms of how to deal with it, and I'm not sure what the right solution is. But for you specifically, I can't sort of answer that. But what I do know that is helpful for me, and I know that everybody sort of needs to hear this, is that being friendly and nice and trying to be as good of a person, not backstabbing other people, all of those kind of things, it is just a nicer way to live. And viewing the world strategically, and this is the problem with strategy, and I'm a strategy professor, and viewing the world strategically, we often sort of lose insight, or lose vision, I guess, or lose like the bigger picture, and we don't see the bigger picture that often, just being a nice person allows you to sleep at night. Being good allows you to sleep at night, and allows you, for many of us, to sleep at night. To know that you tried to do good, and that might mean, I almost guarantee it means that you're not going to be as productive in the short term, and probably the long term, because you have these sort of Matthew effect dynamics that are going on, that you get less resources, all those kind of things. However, you have to sort of ask yourself in a really deeply, profoundly, way, what are you doing here? And what is your life truly about? Is your life truly about accumulating resources and strategically, getting more of something? And if that's the case, then that's great, and that's wonderful. However, if your life is about, adding meaning to yourself, to people, immediate people around you, and more people around you, then you might have to sort of question some of those assumptions and what that actually means to do those behaviors. And I know this question is not straightforward. I'm absolutely 100% aware of this, right? Because maybe the most efficient way to act is to act selfishly, so that you can, publish as much as you can, and then your words change a lot of people, all that sort of scholarly contribution stuff. However, we're all unique, and we're all different with how we deal with things. And you have to simply realize that you have a limited amount. You can only do so much. And if that so much is helping out other people as part of it, then that is okay. And that's actually a really good thing. And that's a contribution in of itself. And you have to acknowledge that I'm just going to do things just to be good, for the sake of myself, not for performance, not for survival in academia, not for the fame and all that kind of stuff, but just for the simple fact that you're trying to be a good person. And that's all there is to it, right? Like, that is, I don't know how to explain that in a more clear way, but you just do things just because you're a good person, not for any strategic implications, and whatever. And doing those things are things that are community building. Like, hey, let's go out for drinks tonight, or hey, I need to spend time with my family, and my family is my priority. Those things, you can't put a price tag on those things. They're like really stinking hard. You can never ever put a price tag on any of that stuff, and you can never quantify it. Maybe someday, by taking, organizing drinks for everybody, that someday that you're going to benefit from it. But chances are you're not. And what I'm getting at is try to do things in academia, not to. So first of all, if you're listening to this and you're that type of person that is like strategically focused and all those kind of things, that's great. More power to you. You can go do wonderful things. But what I want to get at is the people, and I want to sort of, speak to is the people that feel like they get pushed around. They feel like that there's all these type A personalities that are taking advantage of you. It's true, they probably are, and they probably do take advantage of you. That's absolutely 100% true. But if they do, so be it. And you gotta really let go when they do that. And you have to simply say, I'm a nice person, and I'm good enough. And I do things not for strategic importance and all that kind of stuff, but I do things because I want to be a nice person. I want to be a good person. I want to, love myself when the time comes and I actually die, because we all do die, and we all go through these things. And if it contorts you in such a way, if academia, the research game contorts you in such a way that you lose this perspective and you become an absolute ass because of the arena that you're in, man, you're really missing out. And you're really, I do feel sorry for you, and for anybody that has to go through that, because you shouldn't have to give that up. You shouldn't have to give up being a nice person and trying to do things for the community as a whole. That's all what I'm trying to say is be a nice person. You are good people. And if you are feeling like you're getting taken advantage of, smile and nod and know that you're just a good person, and you're going to get through this. That's all I can tell you. All right. Take care and have a wonderful day.